let's first of all look at what's happened in the Middle East, and you can see that perhaps these things historically don't reverberate that long, but it could be different this time. And how would that affect the way that you look at the investment portfolios?
Sure. Good morning, Rishad. So like you said, yes, if you look at what's happening in the Middle East, as of now, the initial indication is India possibly could be resilient to what's happening there because the trade relations with these two countries involved is less than 1%. So, from an economic standpoint, it shouldn't impact much. Yes, crude is going to be a factor that we need to watch very closely. And see, how that is progressing. I think, given how India has reacted even during the Russia-Ukraine war, it shouldn't have too much of an implication. But we have to see how many countries get involved in this. With US getting involved, Iran getting involved, where the crude is heading would be something that we would watch for very closely. Otherwise, just the initial signs, India shouldn't be too much impacted with the Middle East tension at this point of time.
Now, Shweta, last week the Reserve Bank kept rates on hold, but it did make a couple of moves which almost would act like an interest rate hike, given the fact that they've been withdrawing some of the liquidity out of the system. What do you make of that, and what are they worried about?
So, yes, there are certain, concerns on the inflation side, but on the face of it, it looks like the rate hike cycle is over for RBI. They would do some tightening measures of liquidity, but gradually over the next few months, maybe a quarter or two, they may move to a neutral liquidity kind of a situation. Because even now, the rise in the inflation that we've seen was mainly because of food price inflation. RBI forecast is they would get to 5.4% of inflation. For the next year, head towards the 4% inflation number. So where it looks like rate hike seems to be over, liquidity situation in the next 6 months should move from tightening to a neutral kind of a stance.
All right. Well, of course, the inflation is likely to be temporary. At least that's the narrative at the moment, but these things can get sticky. Shweta, it's about the Indian consumer now, and the domestic consumption story has really been one of the key drivers. Is this still a valid theme?
Absolutely. I think in India, consumption story is there for the long term. But, one thing that there has been a shift in the consumption pattern as well. So what we are seeing is, moving from the traditional consumption, there is an interest that's going towards services. So we are seeing consumption where it comes to, let's say tourism, hospitality, healthcare services, financial services, that consumption is increasing. So consumption as a theme, yes, likely to play out. Shift from, maybe traditional consumption to service-oriented consumption would be, something that you would see a trend change in India.